From caring for their son to prepping for future family needs, Ray and Lillie's renovation was personal, and Egypt made it stunning.
It's the kind of finale that reminds us why we love this show. Heart, home, and killer Egypt Sherrod design.
Hi there, I'm Shari, and this is my BFF Rhonda.
And welcome to Designing Bitches. This podcast is for women
and brave men
who eat, sleep, and breathe interior design and recognize their addiction to HGTV.
Whether you're rearranging your living room for the 12th time or here to justify another home goods spree, you're in the right place.
Let's talk design, disasters, and all the beautiful chaos in between.
It's the Married to Real Estate Season 4 finale, and Egypt and Mike didn't tiptoe. They went full house overhaul.
Kitchen, guest suite, powder room, owner suite. Basically, the whole house got a glow up and a purpose.
Ray and Lillie wanted luxury, and Egypt delivered with style, smarts, and a kitchen so good we almost paused the episode to cry.
Honestly,
this was a strong finish to a solid season. No chaos, no gimmicks, just great design and a big heart.
So let's break it all down, one perfectly tiled space at a time.
Let's get into it.
Well, Rhonda, we meet Ray and Lillie, who've been married for 24 years, and they have 2 sons in their 20s. They live in Chamblee, which I'm assuming is not too far from Atlanta.
Yes, all of them are suburbs.
They love the ease of townhome living. They're not looking for a new place, so we don't get to go on a tour of houses.
Yes.
And they've been in this townhome for 5 years. So it's a perfect time to renovate, I think.
I agree.
Now, one of their sons has special needs, so they want to update the house to make sure it accommodates him for now and into the future.
Mm-hmm.
And then originally they were just going to have their floors done.
Yes.
Yeah, can you imagine? Like,
this sounds familiar.
But decided to expand the project when they saw the house with the furniture out of it.
Yeah.
And then they also decided they have parents who are aging, and they want to create a downstairs area in case a parent has to move in. I thought that's like, these people are really all about family.
They are, and they're thoughtful, right?
Yes.
Like what might happen, not necessarily what they need at that moment.
Yeah.
I loved this townhome renovation. And I love this topic, right? That showed how the house you were living in, probably with a reasonable mortgage rate at this point.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, can be renovated to be a showpiece, right? Better than any new house.
Yes.
And at a cost, though, right? This is at a cost, though, because they had to live through a renovation nightmare.
Oh, true. And they lived to survive the tale. Egypt and Mike renovated their kitchen and sunroom, converted the dining room, which they weren't using, and the butler's pantry, which they say they weren't actually sure what to do with it.
I thought it was funny. They didn't even know what it was for.
It's for.
She's like your butler.
And the powder room to a bedroom and a full bath.
Yes.
And then they updated the owner's suite because Ray and Lillie wanted more closet space and they wanted a more luxurious bathroom. This is not a mini renny at all. This is almost like a whole house.
Agree.
It felt pretty comprehensive.
Yes. And I thought the budget was pretty limiting as well, given all that space.
I actually don't remember what the budget was. 150?
I thought that's what they said.
Oh, that's right, because it starts out 150 and Mike just immediately says, no way. Like, no way.
Nice try. Try again.
Egypt comes up with some ways that they can be more creative and thinks they can still do it for 150.
Yeah, she does the, we'll save 1,000 here and we'll save 1,500 there. I thought she was great. I love her. You know that. So.
And as always, does the puts and takes. I just love how Egypt's the puts and takes of here's what we can do with the budget and here's what we can't.
The dining room conversion, great idea. And we're seeing that more and more with these older homes, right? That there's this formal dining room that nobody ever uses. Yeah. I have a friend in the furniture resale business, and she told me they don't take formal dining room sets anymore, like the banquette and the heavy table and chairs, because they don't sell. She says, when the kids come in today looking to furnish the first house they bought, they don't use the dining room. No intention. I guess they eat in front of the television, or maybe, when you have a gigantic island with 6 chairs around it, eat at the island, right?
Kind of a la carte. So it ends up, this renovation is going to take the house from a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, bedroom, 4
Good investment.
And Egypt also points out that lots of people are trying to incorporate generational living in their homes. And I know, like, I experienced this. I ended up having to move my mom into my house. I had PD, and she had kind of reached the point where I would call her, and she would eat Oreos and drink coffee.
Sounds like heaven.
And if you know anything about COPD,
I don't.
Because they burn up so many calories just trying to breathe.
Yeah.
She was losing a lot of weight. She'd actually never been
disease,
to a pulmonologist. And so I ended up moving her here. And so I totally get this. Like trying
Did you
to
plan
accommodate. I didn't plan on it. I definitely had the room.
Got it.
Yeah. But I have been reading more articles about, like, that's a big bubble of people who are concerned about taking care of their parents.
I see that in the houses in this area as I've gone through some model homes, just kind of be nosy.
Yeah.
That they're almost always has a generational suite, I think they call it, or generational living, where there's an area that maybe has a very small kitchen, a little bathroom, and little bedroom, or maybe even a little sitting area where you could move in your parents or one of your parents, or even kids who haven't left the nest.
People have kids who are like, they're staying home later. I incorporated the uncomfortable chair method. And so my son, he left at 18, stayed a year in the dorms, came back and lived with me for less than a year before he's like, I'm getting a roommate, I'm moving out. And I just think there's something about the uncomfortable chair method that can be very effective.
I think you also forget that you combined that method, that uncomfortable method, with having him do your house projects as well.
Well, true. He's very, very, this kid took 3 years of wood shop.
Yeah.
And he's super handy around the house. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I was overly hard on him about it.
You don't think putting in wood floors is a hard job?
You know what? He did a beautiful job.
He did, but I'm sure he was exhausted.
I don't know. I feel like I'm not going to ask him about it. I don't want to know.
You choose to believe that he just loved being on his hands and knees for hours on end. His back, his knees, everything hurt. But no problem. He loved it. It was great.
He was like, I'm going to be a civil engineer. How will this serve me in the future?
You're like,
also, I did have to pay him for those projects. You know my kid. No way does he do any of that stuff for free. None of it happens for free.
I'm sure you were like, do you want to eat?
It's kid math.
Yeah.
Kid math does not work like that. Going back to the episode, their kitchen area is so big.
Oh.
But also looks straight out of the 90s with those diagonal lines and the bar height island with an angle. Mm-hmm. I just felt like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see the update for this.
Well, it felt that way in the bathroom as well, right?
True.
The low cabinets. Yes. I was thinking the same thing when I'm like, where did these low cabinets come from? Because my house had those too when I had my bathroom renovated.
The little short ones?
Yeah, where
so
did that come from?
Standard height bathroom cabinets are 31 inches, I think. And standard height kitchen cabinets are 34 and a half.
So were people that much shorter in the 90s?
I don't know. But you have to, if you're getting your bathroom redesigned, you need to specify you don't want the bathroom cabinets. You want the adult ones.
I'm 5'9". I would like my toilet to reflect that. And I want my cabinets.
Tall you are.
Well, you go to some of these houses from the 80s and 90s, and I feel like I'm sitting on a kindergarten toilet.
Yeah.
Can we talk for a second about how cute this couple was?
Yes.
When the wife introduced herself as a butterfly catcher.
Yes.
I honestly stood there for a good second like, what?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've noticed, like, it's long been a criticism of house hunters, where the husband is an elementary school teacher and the wife runs an online business called, Calm Crusader, or she sells potions or knitted hats. And they're looking for a house and it can't be more than 1.5 million, right? Like, how are you guys affording this? So,
I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah, if you look online, I used to get some good laughs out of people imitating the house hunter's introduction.
A butterfly catcher. And she's actually a lawyer.
A lawyer, yes. But, again, I'm a butterfly catcher. I think she was referencing house hunters.
I loved when Egypt is doing some of the puts and takes with the design finishes.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, look, so we can bring in these prefab cabinets and we can paint them this custom color. That's going to be another $4,000 or so. But if in the bathroom where we normally want to put this tile wall here as an accent, we could do that as wallpaper and save enough money to afford being able to paint the cabinets.
Yes.
And the husband has the gall to chime in with I want the tile. And what immediately went through my head was, when does the husband get to have an opinion like that? These two have been married for over 20 years. Like, no way should he get to make any design decision, because also the closet upstairs is his fault too. And I just feel like, this is what happens when the husband is allowed to help with the design, people. This is what happens.
Didn't you build a house with your ex-husband?
And you know what? He had to have his opinion on some things. And to this day, I still think about why. Why? Well, you can have all this stuff, but it needs to have a sliding door that's pretty solid. Yeah, there were things he put his foot down on. Now, meanwhile, like, remember, he was traveling 50 weeks out of the year at that time. I had a toddler.
Yeah. Yes.
I was making every decision down to what color the hinges on the doors were going to be. And every once in a while, there'd be a little pipe in.
From the husband?
You know what? I'm not the girl I was then. I was super accommodating then. Today I'd be like, I can't hear you.
Shut up.
Shut up. All that to say, we get along well today. We're good co-parents for my son. Everything's copacetic, but husbands, you're not the designers. Don't try to be the designers.
So I will tell you, if it was my husband, we'd have never had that renovation, because he'd have been, these cabinets were fine. He would have ixnayed that? Yeah, absolutely. He would have been, I don't understand why we need a renovation. Everything here works fine.
I'm thinking about, you have that backsplash tile because of your husband.
That's true. He picked it out.
He did.
I would say the kitchen design, I did work very hard to get his buy-in. And I will tell you, the first island
because you thought he
was
going to help you with cooking?
No, again, they're spending a lot of money on this house, right? I mean, this was a big ask overall.
Okay, I forgot the amount in upgrades you had.
Yeah.
The home's value, they had to discount them all because no one was going to give you a loan for the value of you. I forgot how much you upgraded that. That's been 7 years now, right?
Yes. And the first island he picked out was like out of Star Trek. Right? It was shaped like a boomerang with hard angles, right?
Oh, God.
It was,
God.
I swear, yes. It was one of those where he's like, I like that one. And for about 15 minutes, maybe, went along with it. And the lady who was our designer, I think I told you, she did a great job advising us on what was worth it and what wasn't.
Were you thinking about what favors you were going to need to give in order to not get the boomerang island?
I'm going to have to reach deep down and do something really, really dirty.
You know what? All the women out there know exactly what we're talking about.
Yes. But fortunately, the third voice, not me saying no, it was her saying, let's just go with a square island. Let's go with a long rectangle. It's a huge island. This is going to take up too much space if it's this way.
Thank God.
He
thank
relented.
God.
Oh, praise Jesus. Yes, thank you. Because if I had that right now, I would stare at it every day, hating it. Yeah. Sorry, back to the show.
I did love Ray and Lillie, but I felt like Ray overstepped the husband boundaries. Now, luckily, Egypt is always, the answer lady came up with, they could do a bigger tile, which would still be affordable, so that Ray got his tile and that Lillie got her painted cabinets.
It felt legitimate when the wife was kind of stunned that he said that, right? Like he said he wanted that tile. You could tell she kind of like jumped, like, huh?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, he's interested in the color of the tile.
Like, hello, who are you?
Who are you? And why do you care? Is it because there's a camera here? Is that why you care?
What?
Yeah.
I wonder.
Is this just, are you faking it?
I also forgot to mention they're going to update the built-ins next to the fireplace and reface the fireplace, which I think Egypt is a good discussion of. We can salvage these.
Yeah.
And then later on, she and Mike have a discussion about the contrast.
They had to rip them out, right? They turned out they weren't good quality. Egypt called the style clean and transitional. And then after they chose their finishes, did you notice she said, I knew they were leaning towards modern. Yeah. They're not traditional. They were leaning towards modern. And that to me is why Egypt was such a great designer, right?
Yeah.
You could tell her whatever you want, but she's going to figure out what you really want.
She also says it's going to be with Egypt's flair. And we get some more views of Egypt's gorgeous office, which always gives me a little office envy.
Agree. Shari, what do you think of wet rooms?
I'm not a fan. I get that they're space saving and it allows you to have both a tub and a shower, but I'm a little OCD and I would be having to squeegee my tub every time I took a shower. I wouldn't want all the like dots.
Spots,
I have hard water here. It's not the hardest water, but it's hard water. And
mine's hard. Yeah.
I would feel compelled to dry that tub off every time I showered.
The fact that she made it a fancy shower with all the different heads and
that
options.
that was another Ray demand. He wanted that's part of what he wanted.
That's always enjoyable to have a car wash when you're taking a shower. I just toured, like I said, some model homes around here, and they had these huge showers, like the size of a closet or a small child's bedroom. And they would have one shower head.
Oh, wow.
Like just a standard shower head. And I just thought, make this fancy, people, for what you guys are charging for this house.
And I think you touring model homes without me?
I know, I'm sorry.
Cheater.
Yeah, it's a long story, but it didn't turn out to be as fun as it used to be.
Good. I hope it was awful.
Everything is electronic now, and you have to what are those QVC codes or something? What are they called? I'm old.
QR codes?
QR codes. Yeah, you have to do a QR code, which forces you to register, and then they'll send you the code to the front door so you can get in.
Oh, how
So you're
interesting.
standing there in the hot Vegas sun waiting for this number to come through. It's like,
well, maybe because...
Forget it!
There's not a guaranteed commission anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe because they're getting less, they don't want to have to share it if they don't have to.
Maybe. I don't know why, but this is the new day and age of QR codes and getting into the house to tour it. It was ridiculous.
Well, back to the episode. I love the back and forth and the smart decision making. And I think that's kind of a hallmark of watching an Egypt Sherrod show, whether we're talking about Married to Real Estate or even Flipping Virgins. Same type of thing. She would have these same kind of conversations with the people doing that.
Yes. This show really made me miss Flipping Virgins. Because one, that introduced me to Egypt as intelligent, funny, beautiful, decisive, right?
Yes.
I think that's what we really like about her the most. And her little disagreement with Mike reminded me of her talking to the flippers when they were doing something crazy, right?
She also mentions Lux for Less Feel. And I immediately think of Michelle and Anthony. And I just keep hoping that show will come back.
Me too.
Also, I think Rhonda and I probably need to just do an episode on every HGTV show we'd like to see. Or the types of shows we'd like to see. I think that would be some good content for us. Again, back to the episode. I feel like I keep repeating that. The Greek columns. This house reminded me so much of mine with all the diagonal lines. The Greek columns, it's the first thing I got rid of in my house. And I can only imagine it felt so good when I took them out of my house too. The scope of the work was so huge.
So let me ask you, what do you think about living through a renovation? Because you did that.
I've done it, and I would call mine more like mini rennies.
I don't know.
Well, again, we've talked about
a giant concrete step.
I didn't take out any concrete step. I did take out, there was a big platform when you walked in the door. Surrounded by Greek columns. That platform was built like the Titanic. Well, actually, it was built like the iceberg that took down the Titanic.
That's what I'm getting
2x6s, which, let me tell you what, people, if you want to have good construction, find a house built in the 90s. Because we don't have wood like that anymore. And Matt and I actually took that thing out. It took a long time. Like, it had real plywood on it. There was no particle board. But what a difference it made. So I would tell you, I like the idea of being in my house because I like to have my things around me, and I'm a little bit of a control freak. Just having people in my home running amok on their own makes me a little nervous. Also about the quality of what they do. But I also have a little patience for it.
Yeah.
On a different topic, what did you think about Egypt and Mike going candle making? It made me think of you and your fascination with Meghan Markle in the candle making episode, which is when I clicked off that show. Here, come be a guest at my house, and I'm going to force you to make candles with me. Like, ew.
Yes. So I have actually gone to a candle making
I would have
class.
guessed. Mm-hmm.
It was not a date. It was with Jeanette, my girlfriend. So not a date. And it was slow. Let's just say a very slow process.
Did I ever tell you about my brother and I making candles as kids?
No.
Yeah, so we were probably, 8 and 9, and I've always been a very creative child. I sold my first painting when I was in 3rd grade.
Good job.
I had my first published poem when I was in the 7th grade. So I'm like a little creative Santa Barbara kid. And my brother and I are at home, and my mom worked 2 jobs. We spent a lot of time, just he and I. And we decide that crayons would be a great way of making candles.
Oh, God, this sounds like you burned the house down story.
So we get the crayons out. We get all my mom's pans out. We melt these crayons. We end up burning things, and we burn the carpet.
How did you burn carpet?
For some reason, we moved the pans to the floor.
Nice.
Who knows why? Who knows why kids do things? Again,
right.
we were in the creative process, Rhonda. We were in the creative process.
I'm so sorry to question it.
And
how dare I?
Once we know we've damaged the carpet, we know we're going to be in trouble when my mom gets home. And of course, the first thing you do when you know you're going to be in trouble is you vacuum up as much as you can. And you call grandma to pick you up. Because she's not going to let mom beat you.
Good point.
Yes, so grandma picks us up, and we're at grandma's. Hours and hours later, my mom shows up. Well, apparently, it's smoldered.
It must have smelled terrible.
The ashes in the vacuum smoldered. The neighbor called the fire department, who then called my mom. And when she calls my grandmother, and you have to, my grandmother is like Saint Grandma.
Yeah.
This is a very devoutly Catholic woman.
Yes.
Who is the ultimate defender of her grandchildren.
She's not going to let your mom kill you.
And when my mom calls, you can hear my grandmother, and she's like, Donna, I think you're being a little unreasonable. Well, not only does my mom show up, but the fire department chief shows up.
Oh.
Yeah, it was not a good night. And I wonder sometimes if why never in my life have I thought, ooh, let's go candle making, is because a little traumatic experience. I have a little PTSD.
You'll need to process that. Yeah,
that was probably the worst spanking I ever got. She didn't do it in front of grandma, but she took us home, and we were grounded for a while, and we couldn't sit for a while. This is in the days, people, when, your children actually got spanked. I never spanked my son, but I definitely got my share. Anyway.
He also never burned the house down.
Sometimes the creative process is dangerous. Luckily, Egypt and Mike have no such problems. They developed their little signature scents. Their candle making goes a lot cleaner than ours did. Apparently, crayons do not make good fodder for making candles. And PSA to everyone out there, do not ever, ever, ever vacuum up ash because it will smolder in your vacuum. It's very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Many examples of that at the ski resort we used to have a house at.
Oh.
People would also throw them into the dumpster. People made candles there too? No, they would throw their ashes from their fireplaces into the dumpster, which again would be a literal dumpster fire. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've seen many of them. So
let's talk about this master closet. The new closet. The one for Ray.
Yeah.
As it turns out. And so it's going to sit in front of the window.
I'm with Egypt. I thought it looked terrible.
I agree. And I like the symmetry. The window had a brother on that wall.
It did.
So the symmetry was a little off. And I just wanted to ask you, Rhonda, would you sacrifice a window for a closet?
I would have put the window in the closet, yes.
That's not a bad idea. I think I still would have struggled with the symmetry, but if it's not, you can't see it from the inside, like you'd only see it from the closet, maybe that wouldn't be too bad.
But just that little weird hallway. I'm with Egypt. Like, what goes there? What do you put there? Plants?
Well,
it wasn't even big enough for a desk. It isn't even big enough for a desk.
And I took a closet out of my primary bedroom because I already had a closet off from my primary bathroom. And I didn't want the second closet. I felt like it just looked clunky. And I've never regretted the decision. So I would not have done the second closet.
I would have done the second closet, but again, I would have squared it off with including the window.
Yeah. I do think that would have in the end looked better. I also don't remember very often when Mike just tells Egypt no.
Yes. That was a little bit of a shock.
Egypt doesn't get her way. And then he's like, well, the owners like it. And she's like, yes. I give.
But you and I have talked about some of these flip houses where people walk in and go, what's happening here, right? And this is exactly what's going to happen in this house. Someone's going to walk in and go, why is this little space here? And he called it a prayer room.
Yes.
I don't even think it's wide enough for that.
Pray your plant lives in that dark hallway. The other thing that would look a little funny, someone coming in years later, is the bathroom door, the powder room, when they reconfigured it to be the bathroom for that extra room where they converted the dining room. The bathroom door now opens onto the kitchen. I thought in the drawings.
That's always awkward.
And I love the visit to the fabric store. I love a fabric store.
Oh, I wish I could sew. I really do.
It gives me the biggest inspiration. I can just get little cuttings from fabric. Yes. I love the fabric store. So I really enjoyed that little visit they took.
I'm with you. And I think that's a really good indicator of a designer when you walk into someone's house, if it's been professionally designed, just by the look. Like when you see that fabric and you say, oh, yeah, this is nice.
It's only $500 a yard, but
right?
Look how beautiful it looks.
So I love this. I love this little green silk zebra print.
So Ray and Lillie managed to eke it out down in the basement while the renovation is going on, and then
God bless him.
We get reveal day. And I love how Egypt says we're going to put them up in a hotel for a week because we know they're like little mice coming in and she goes, we have 2 other designers on this job, and they live downstairs right now.
I would be peeking.
I would too.
Wouldn't you?
Oh, for sure. And then there would be notes, right? This wouldn't be a no-note moment. It would be like, oh, what about that? What about that? What about this?
Well, they changed the floor color, right? Without telling Egypt.
True.
So there it is. Perfect example.
Well, the new guest room and the bathroom downstairs look... it's very big. Like the space is very open. It's very neutral.
Yes.
And Egypt's artwork idea turns out to look fabulous.
I wasn't a fan, but
I liked it. I felt like it added some movement to the room.
Yeah. I always want a frame. I read somewhere, always put a frame. It makes it look more professional or something like that.
Oh, that's a good point.
If she'd have framed it, I'd have liked it better, I guess.
And then what can we say about Egypt and her kitchens? I sometimes feel like Egypt Sherrod is the real kitchen queen of HGTV.
Shots fired, Allison.
I didn't mention A. I just think Egypt and her kitchens, I loved it. I'm not a fan of using different materials for the island, whether it's a different countertop or base.
So let me ask you, what was that countertop? Because it looked rough, right? Like it had texture.
I don't actually know.
Oh, okay. But I liked it.
Egypt does it beautifully, though. And the cabinet hardware, I loved that. The brass with the little black, it looked like leather in the middle of it. I just, I'm like, I need to find that cabinet hardware. And this is the problem with watching a lot of design shows.
Yes, that everything needs to change because I see it. I saw it on a design show.
Yeah.
$10,000 worth of hardware.
And the little sunroom is kind of like not very much, like has the new floor, plus they put a couple of chairs in there. But that whole vibe of the space is completely different. And the green velvet on that banquette.
Lovely.
I don't know that I'm a big fan of banquettes, but every time I see them, I really love the way they look.
I've had one, and getting in and out is not exactly the easiest. But if you have kids or people who are young and flexible, that's not as big of a problem.
So the kitchen, sunroom, and family room just look elevated and very cohesive.
So beautiful.
It's another TV over the fireplace, but there really isn't any other space for it.
Agree, yeah.
And
It's
then,
Atlanta. Do you need a fireplace? That's my question, but okay.
I don't know. I was going to say you wouldn't need a fireplace, but you don't have one.
I don't have one.
No.
I have an outside one.
Yeah.
I have two outdoor fireplaces, but not an indoor one.
And then I still, in the primary bedroom, wonder if there was just a little space for a little nook that the new closet created, or like maybe a little kid's desk when they have grandkids to come in and play. I don't know. I just felt like it looks so bowling alley-ish.
Yeah,
but to kind of do something that kind of cuts it off in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that shower looks huge in the primary bath update.
Yes.
And the finishes are gorgeous.
Lovely, yes. And Lily is a tub person, so
yes.
I appreciated Lily.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a tub person too, Lily.
Also, getting all of that for $150K seemed crazy.
Yeah. But
I thought, I don't think this is HGTV math because I totally trust Egypt and Mike. But wow, what a deal.
Yeah, lovely. Really gorgeous. I could stay there a long time. I'm with them. This is the next 20 years of that house for them.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's about it.
Well, besties, that's a wrap on Married to Real Estate Season 4. And honestly, this finale stuck the landing. It was smart, sentimental, and somehow still came in under budget.
Egypt and Mike turned a dated townhome into a multi-generational dream. It never felt like too much.
Nope.
Just thoughtful, gorgeous design that respected how the family lives.
And the wet room, while it wouldn't be my favorite, it is giving spa vibes and maintenance anxiety.
It's just you. And who knows, Atlanta might have soft water. There may not be spots.
May not be a problem.
Major kudos to Egypt for stretching every dollar and still delivering this beautiful style. And even bigger applause to Ray and Lily for putting their family first in every decision, from accessibility for their son to room for their aging parents. It's a real design with heart. I loved it.
Yes.
We've done a special posting this week on Facebook and Instagram. We'd like to know, what's one thing you've done in your home to make life easier for the people you love?
Aw.
I know, whether it's a bedroom on the main floor for grandma, maybe a sensory-friendly space, or just a cozy nook for your teen to doom scroll. We want to see how you design with heart.
Let us know. We can't wait to see your comments. As always, we have some apologies. I'm sorry to people who like Greek columns, bar height islands, and husbands who think their opinion on cabinet color matters.
Or island design.
If you're vibing with us and your brain is basically made of HGTV at this point, you need to catch up on all of our episodes at designingbitches.com. We're literally everywhere you listen to podcasts, so hit that follow, like, star, or whatever button your app throws at you. We're not picky, we're just needy. Well, until next time, besties, bye!
Bye, see you soon.
I'm inspired by walls that suddenly shine.